Hey, boys and girls, sound check. I think my mic is working. Let me mute my phone. Good to go, loud and clear. Awesome. What's up, guys? Flippy, Joe. Okay, gotta knock out this alibi. It's gonna take as long as it takes, but I'm not really looking to do a full length Q&A because we're gonna do another one tomorrow night because I'm heading out this weekend for another thing. Potentially can do some follow up to tomorrow's if we don't finish everything or whatever. That following week, I'll be back in town for at least on Tuesday for after I come back from my next class and before I depart for my Thanksgiving away travel with family. So I think we're traveling on the Wednesday. So Tuesday probably be a little bit earlier of next week if I don't get to the $5 and $1 guys. And starting in December, I definitely want to break up now that we have, I think it's 625 patrons. Now that we've got this large size, and a lot of them are the newer guys who haven't had a chance to ask any questions before. I think we'll probably try to run 2 Q&As and do the $10 and up tiers on one Q&A and do another Q&A on the $5 and the $1 guys on a subsequent night. But both audiences are invited to both, obviously. So how's everybody doing? I'm doing okay. Been not super busy, but been busy. Website development of the new press check site, some closed enrollment stuff, some consulting trips. So I've been keeping myself a little bit busy. But I'll give you guys a full update on whatever tomorrow. If you guys are like, how did whatever class go or whatever, then ask the question and I'll bring it up. Okay, so we're gonna jump right in to Kyle. I did not in the past. I've done locked tiers because people have accidentally crossed over, but with locked tiers, they also don't see what the other tiers questions are asking. We're all going to get the answers to the questions. So I left them all open for all patrons to see so that in the event that somebody wanted to screen what other questions are being asked prior to dropping their question in there, it'll prevent me from seeing the same question in more than one tier. If that's too confusing, and you never underestimate the chance for somebody to screw up clear, concise instructions. If that jacks people up and I get several complaints of, oh man, I accidentally dropped my stuff in the wrong tier or whatever, then I will go back to screening the tiers. And so we'll do that. Having the questions unlocked makes it easier for people to see the show notes as well, which is that's a valid deal when people are going back to search for previous content or whatever. The only issue is, like everything else on this Patreon, because y'all could be copying unlisted links and sending them to your buddies or whatever. This community is only as good as the integrity of the community members. So if somebody's a $1 patron, dude, and they want to post in the $10 section so that their question gets answered first or whatever, I can only go back and spot check some of those names. I can't go back down the entire roster. I just don't have time for it. So it's kind of on the honor system. If we're going to leave everything open, it's going to be on the honor system that dudes aren't posting questions in a higher tier, trying to get, whatever higher tier privileges. But as you guys can see with the Alibi Q&A here, I'm going to get to everybody's question, unless I just absolutely didn't see it and I signed off and then you bring it up like, hey, I asked whatever question and you skipped over it. Okay, my bad. Then it'll get readdressed. Everybody will get their questions answered, hopefully in a fairly timely manner. So let's take ourselves back to roughly a month ago when I did the marathon Q&A back then. Skipped over the $5 tiers accidentally. Scrolled down the page, went from the $10 questions to the $1 questions. $5 guys got left out. I believe there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I believe there's roughly 14 or 15 questions. So without further ado, let's get after it. What are the advantages of mounting your sling to your stock as opposed to your receiver end plate? Mounting to the end plate seems much more comfortable and usable as long as you're not shooting slung up for a long shot. Exactly. As long as you're not shooting slung up for a long shot. As soon as you start to apply tension to 2-point sling, if it's pulling from the receiver plate, it will kick the gun out off your shoulder. And it's very, very hard to get into a really good sling supported position when you're running off of the receiver plate. I will move my front sling swivel back to a different location in case I need to take for most use to give me a wider spread with a tighter sling. But I have the ability on any of my guns that I want to be able to do any type of distance on, an additional sling swivel receptor forward on the gun, which is far enough forward on the handguard that I can actually get a wrap on the sling and provide some additional sling tension. There are those professionally, people that I used to work with, that questioned whether I was going to have the time to completely detach the front end of my sling, move it out forward, and such. I have practiced it, and it does take time. Having to move both of the sling locations for optimal sling-supported firing, I consider to be impractical. So I used to run receiver end plate before there was dedicated receiver end plates. I used to run, but guys that have been around and following me since back in the light fighter days, like circa 2001, 2002, when the war first started, I was actually running, because we had fixed slings then, the VTAC didn't exist. I was running a 2-point Blackhawk back when they were made in the USA, Blackhawk 2-point sling. And it was actually, I had one that was zip tied with multiple small zip ties side by side with one another, and one that was hose clamped. And I had a small hose clamp actually on the receiver extension with enough clearance that I could still work the carbine. Some other people tried to mimic that, did not do it well. And the fuck was that? Oh, backpack full of knots. If the receiver extension, whatever you're using to secure the sling to the side of the receiver extension. If that was buffer tube, if that was too loose, it would rotate. And so your sling would actually be coming up at about a 10 o'clock angle, and that could interfere with proper functioning of the charging handle. And then receiver plates came in after that. During the height of the receiver plate craze, there were receiver plates that were of, I don't know, unknown origin or whatever, that actually had bowing out, where the receiver plate was coming off the back of the rifle and creating a gap off of the back of the lower receiver. Based off the quality of the metal or whatever. And so there were photographs of that. So there was kind of a backlash about receiver plate attachment. It is, if you use a ball detent, it's not going to be too bad. If you use HK snap hook or snap shackle or whatever, Denny Chalker snap shackle, what have you, that's all metal on metal contact. Also, it's very, very noisy to hear that stuff rattling around. Sling swivels don't make all that much noise, especially the ball detent ones, because they have limited rotational capability, and they're brushed up against plastic, and they're largely nylon coated. When you have exposed metal loops, you're potentially dealing with greater snag hazard, like the big fat ones that have got the on their extension rear plate that have the linear lines for you to actually be able to route the cloth of the sling through. Most people don't route the cloth of the sling through there. They put on some type of snap hook or snap shackle or whatever, and all of that stuff is just rattling around on the back of the gun, generally forming a nuisance. So I have run that the rear receiver plate design or on the buffer tube, and both of them were really good. I had a very aggressive, in my face, almost mimicking pistol reload, rifle reload back then, because that's what Jerry the Burner Barnhart was teaching back then, was dig your elbow, get the stock down, have the rifle up in front of your face, and if the magazine hasn't already come out, strip the mag and get another mag in there, lock it, and then remount the gun. So anybody had seen T-Rex video or whoever this is the flavor of the week in terms of gun handling, you'll now see that guys are trying to keep the guns generally on target, and they're rotating in and working in their workspace and getting back on the gun. I think that's because the rifles have generally become lighter and just more ergonomic, more well-balanced. And we've evolved in some human efficiency. So when you have the sling on the back of the gun, like I carry mine, and you go to mount the gun, the entire buttstock comes off your shoulder and down closer to your waist or belly button. That means the entire sling has to rotate across the back of your kit. If you're just wearing, an Under Armour medium on a hot summer's day, no issues, no worries. If you're wearing full kit, duckbill from a Halligan tool, multiple flat pockets with firing grenade pins and all this other stuff, you're potentially going to get more friction, more resistance running that sling across your back, especially if the sling is not streamlined, which is the reason why the original skinny VTAC was created. The original skinny VTAC was made to wear over armor. So it didn't, but it cuts on my back, on my traps and whatever. Like, it didn't matter. It was riding up against Kevlar and 1000D at the time. So it needed to be snag, as minimal snag as possible, so that you could rotate that thing around and have all that excess sling come up over your shoulder as you jam the gun in close to start working on your weapon. So that was one of the benefits of having a receiver end plate, was because it was down here. And as you rotated the gun, the buttstock's greater travel was not dependent on pulling more slack from across your back and having your sling right across your back. So for Jerry Bernhardt burner mag changes, receiver plate mounting was king. And Jerry's the one that taught us how to do receiver plate mounting. And you could get minor tension, but if you really cranked down onto your sling and really took the slack out of it and then tried to mount the gun hard, it would pop the buttstock out of your shoulder pocket. So that is why eventually I kind of moved away from that design. And with a good adjustable 2-point, you can keep the gun, depending on where your front sling is attached, you can keep the gun loose enough that it can get full range of motion, yet tight enough that the gun stays up in your workspace. As the other thing is, if you cinched up on receiver plate slings in order to get the gun close to your body for retention purposes, climbing, navigating with your environment, picking up a casualty, whatever. As soon as you cranked up on that thing, the entire rifle moved up and you ended up with your end plate by your shoulder and your buttstock up here when you cinch that thing down across your chest. So it's largely a personal preference issue. If you haven't been trained in proper sling support, if you've never used your sling as actual stability, then there's nothing necessarily or inherently wrong, short of mechanical issues with the AR if you choose poorly on your plate and sling interface prior that can, as long as you are not causing a mechanical deficit on the firearm, I'm not overly emotional about sling plate versus rear of the stock. I am more emotional about outboard on the stock than inboard on the stock. But sling plate is kind of like, hey man, that's something we used to do. We used to do gangster grips too. So it just is what it is. And once you understand the context of the why those things were done, pre-adjustable slings and using a magazine change technique, that has kind of sort of largely been passed on or moved on. There's more efficient ways. If you're a fucking man and you can keep the gun reasonably on target, or you break it down and slightly inboard, but not this really aggressive muzzle pointed almost straight up in the sky, workspace, rifle mag, reload. Hope that answered your question, Sam. All right. Dominic, what are your thoughts on the Blue Force Gear U-loop? Man, this is the ass end of the $1 patron questions. I might probably already answer that damn question last week. Sorry, you guys just got to recap. First question from the $5 guys is, why did the modular handgun system competition require the pistol to have an additional safety? Why does the M17 pistol have to have a safety even though it's a striker fired gun? Because the weapon that it was replacing had a safety. And yes, there were actual places, I would say the majority of the Army did not allow their soldiers to use the manual safety on the Beretta M9 as a decocking lever, meaning, and then back on fire, and then carried in the fire position, relying on the crazy, insane 12 pounds of trigger pull or more to discharge the weapon. So the people that are writing the requirement or whatever, they start out with the baseline of what do we have? What do we want? And so the military was already trained in the use of a safety. A manual safety is part of the draw stroke and presentation on target. Me being a 1911 guy, I ain't afraid of no manual safety. I'm not afraid of a manual safety. I get it. If somebody has if you've only ever been a striker fired guy, manual safety is a big deal. Me putting my weapon on safe during a speed reload of the rifle, for me, still a big deal, because I've got gazillions of repetitions where I did not place the weapon on safe while it was in my hands, while I was actively reloading it. But like Pat Mack says, it doesn't cost you anything. So if I was going to teach a new shooter new to the AR platform, I would teach them to put their weapon on safe. Do as I say, not as I do, kind of thing. I'm old. I'm set in my ways. And when every time I've been on the range with Mac, he's been in my ass about, hey, put that weapon on safe. And I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, dude, I know what a follower pushing up the bolt catch and the bolt carrier and catch locking in the rear position. I know what that feels like, recoil impulse. This isn't a dead trigger. This isn't a whatever. This gun locked back. It did not catch and retard itself on a round that did not want to strip out of the mag, which is the concern. If you think you have slide lock back and you don't, you've got your bolt caught on a round due to lube, fouling, heat, all of those things contributing. If you dump the gun and then go to pistol and then start running around, jouncing around, you can get enough shock and vibration to cause that thing to go into battery. And now you've got a hot gun around your neck that's on fire. So I understand the why of why Max says doesn't hurt anything. From a time speed wise, it literally does not hurt anything. Same thing with the manual safety. If it's not a piece of shit, like slide mounted piece of shit, like the M9s. So, and I've dealt with this with M&Ps and whatever other stuff. If I could get a really, really good safety, like beaver tail or double ambi, whatever safety on a Glock or on whatever, I'd put it on there, because it doesn't hurt anything. It's an additional precautionary measure that I would much rather see than that plastic trigger safety on the Glock pistol. I think that thing's about worthless. And so I would rather see a nice big ambi that you can rest your thumb on, keeping it off the controls of your gun, providing a little bit more leverage on the pistol without having to actually get anywhere around that slide stop. I would take a double ambi, potentially single ambi, or single side for concealed carry. I would take it. I carry a night fighter now. I'm not afraid of a manual safety. Doesn't scare me one bit, as long as it's ergonomically made well. Safety on the 870 shotgun sucks. Safety on the Beretta sucks. So yeah, there are guns that I carried that were not unsafe all the time. And it's just the way that it is. But that's the why. They're thinking to the lowest common denominator. Institutionally, what is everybody used to? The Glock 17 was kicked out of the Beretta, 9mm handgun trials, because it did not meet the requirements. And the requirements were must have a manual safety or decocking lever, because that was the 80s when DASA guns were probably in their prime. So the SIG did not have a manual safety, did have a decocking lever. The Beretta had a manual safety that also decocked the pistol. So they wrote the requirement wide enough that they could scoop in a bunch of different guns. That's what industry market research is about. We call that informing the requirement. How do you know what you should be writing down and that the government wants if you don't go out there and see how the evolution of weapons design or whatever has been going on? So the Glock showed up, did not have a manual safety, did not have a decocking lever, and it was kicked out first phase of the handgun trials because it did not meet key performance parameters of the written requirements document. So who sat in the room for the requirements generation? I have no idea. I stayed kind of far away from MHS. But that's the why, because the Army said so. Because the Army said their soldiers need to have a physical safety that people can go by and supervise and say your weapon is not unsafe. And make an on-the-spot correction. All right. William, I said on Modcast that the terminal effects of underbarrel, but you're talking about low velocity. Grenade machine guns, high velocity, 40 millimeter projectiles, standalone, and M203 style underbarrel systems, low velocity 40 millimeter. No difference, to my knowledge, no difference in the warhead, if you will. It's all about propellant and how fast it kicks it out there. If you were to de-link a Mark 19 HKGMG, whatever, 40 millimeter linked round and feed it into a grenade launcher, it would not work out well for you at all. It would be bad on a scale of good to bad. It would be very bad for you to shoot it out of a 79 Bloop gun or a HK69 fucking Ronin or 320 or anything. If you manage to get 40 millimeter high velocity ammo into an individual handheld grenade launcher, yeah. Okay. How do hand grenades compare to launch grenades concerning lethality? The M67 frag has huge increase in both HE. So the explosive compound is greater. So that is going to increase peak overpressure closer to the grenade, and it has a larger surface area and way more shrapnel. So more frag and more boom equals more lethal. Potentially not a wider kill radius, because the Army denotes that, kill zone or whatever is based upon being struck. So if a man-sized target is hit with a single BB, then that's good to go. But that's not how human incapacitation actually works. So you're going to get more perforations per square foot along your spherical axis when doing frag testing using a hand grenade a full-size hand grenade. Now we went down that road with the Belgian mini frags and a bunch of other stuff, and they make little tiny baseball size grenades. And most people have discounted their use because in actual combat, they threw them at people and they were underwhelming. They went over there and those people were not all bleeding out every orifice of their body. So I personally know someone that fragged themselves on purpose with a mini frag. They were wounded down on the ground, separated from other people, and the enemy occupied the room that they were bleeding out on the floor on. And so now they're starting to think, man, I'm going to show up on a video. I'm going to get my head cut off. I'm going to get tortured. They're going to cuff my dick and stick it in my mouth, whatever. And so that individual decided to go out on his own terms and pulled out the grenade and pulled it and showed these suicide guys like, oh, you want to play the suicide vest game? Okay, two can play with that game. I'm a true believer too. And my man's living, breathing, walking, talking right now. So he dropped the damn hand grenade next to him and rolled away from it. And damn grenade went off in the room. And he's still alive to tell a story because Belgian mini frags suck for killing people. Tiny. You can't get around physics. More mass is more frag, is more explosive payload. It's physics, like most things that I deal with in this industry. T. Steven is asking MR556 versus 416. My chopped MR556, actually, my chopped MR556 is not a chopped MR556. I believe it's a 416 profile barrel. Shoots good, man. I can't tell the difference. Like some, HK Pro would be the question to ask that, like the finer points, line by line, the differences between those two systems. But my MR556 stamped upper with, Geisley rail and 416 barrel shoots lights out, man. It's a great gun. I'm actually looking at picking up a 416 parts kit coming up here probably next year. I don't know. And I'm getting with Jim Hodge, and Hodge and I are going to do a clone build of a gun that I had in a previous life. And we're going to get a Brownells lower and then get it redone with the actual faux serial number and markings and all of that stuff. So we're going to go kind of full out as a little Tinker Toy project. Those of you guys who have been following me for a while, I have my M4 cloned, and I'm going to clone a 416 that I had for a while. And I am also going to get out on the road and start beating the bushes through some contacts and try to run down the owner of my Mark 11 that got bought back. My check got lost in the mail, unfortunately. So my service SAS was sold when I replaced it with a 110. And I want that gun back. I did some good work with that gun. And so I got to find the owner. And then I got to explain to the owner, hey, man, I got souls stored in the buttstock of that gun. What's it going to take? What's it going to take for me to get that gun from you? And I don't care if I got to buy dude a brand new, Knights K gun or whatever. I want it for the sentimental values. Okay. Do I have an aim point acro mounted on a pistol? Yes, a Gen 5 34 MOS. It attaches via an adapter plate. Matt would like me to post a picture of it. Nah, I'm not sure I can do that. I'll have to look into it. The acro mounting plate for the MOS, possibly, but I vibratited the acro onto the mounting plate, so I'd have to break seal and disassemble the optics, and I've had that thing for a while, and I'm getting some pretty crazy shot group zero shift. Like it ain't. I wouldn't take it for duty right now. Now I did get some aftermarket screws. I put the screws in there. I got everything vibrated and locked down. Now I've got it. Now it's in its testing phase, so I can't break the sight off to show you a picture of how the sight interfaces on the acro, the P1 acros cross slot, how it interfaces with the aim point. I believe it's aim point delivered adapter plate for the Glock MOS pistol. So I'm sure you can find that on the internet, man. I just can't take my gun apart to take happy snaps of it. Now, next time it fails, it's not holding zero, I'm going to switch it to a different plate, whatever. No, when that happens, then once I break it apart, then I'll take some pictures for your personal edification. But that ain't gonna happen for a while unless it just totally shits the bed on trials and I can't get it to hold a zero at all. In which case I'll be buying an aftermarket Glock 35 slide or 34 slide. I'll buy a slide and have it sent off to ATI, and I'll just direct mount that acro on an aftermarket slide, because I don't trust the MOS as far as I can throw it right now. And there are other people that have cracked the code. I mean, unless they're afraid to admit that they're wrong and they're cognitively dissonant, but several of them are duty professionals, and they're saying that they can make the MOS hold zero. So I haven't experienced that, but I have a sample of one. And the internet says a lot of people having MOS issues, but there's other internet saying that those people don't know how to screw screws down properly. They're over torquing, not torquing enough, using the wrong thread locker. Like there's 1,000 allegations being tossed back and forth. Guys that have got one that's locked down tight, they believe they've cracked the code, and everybody on the internet complaining about MOSs not holding zero is just incompetent or ignorant. They just don't know what they need to be doing, or they're failing to execute that properly. And that's why we've got rattly ass optics on top of the Glock MOS system. Randy and Han, can you talk about the intermediate assault rifle course? It is morphing into no-fail rifle. What type of setup should you take to make the most out of the course? It's range dependent. I will run intermediate assault rifle on 100. As long as I got 100 yards, I'll run the course. The course is designed to be shot 300 and in. It's not a DMR course. It's not. DMR courses are sniper light. They're taught by sniper people. They're trying to teach you snipery stuff. In an SDM, SPR, DMR, whatever. patrol, scoped rifle, whatever terminology you want to use, it's all the same shit. It's taught by precision marksmen with a sniper background, and they're trying to teach just the marksmanship aspects of all of the skill set of being a sniper. And I don't do that. I have no desire to do that. I'll talk a little bit about math, but at the end of the day, my experience has shown that what you do belly shooting, just like USPSA is not a gunfight, PRS is not a sniper engagement. Period. Although PRS, I think, is probably closer to a gunfight than USPSA is. I'm not like, it's not going to be all kestrels and 7 minutes to flip through data books and consult the Oracle and dial in your dope and take a shot. This is not, let's see how far we can push a 5.56 gun in meters or yards. The course is about knowing ballistically what goes on with your gun, your barrel length, your optic, your offset. And so much like no fail pistol, no fail rifle is a collaborative learning environment where I say, hey man, did anybody ever teach you how to do whatever fucked up contorted position behind a car, or lay the gun down on the hood in this manner, whatever, in some tactics-based course before? Yeah, they did. Okay, cool. I want you to shoot that person in the head at 200 yards. Go. Do you know where to aim? Do you know where to aim? Do you know where to aim when your gun is 90 degrees magazine outboard? Do you know how many inches to hold? So I continuously say it over and over and over again when people ask about this course. I am trying to get someone, patrol officer, first responder, to be able to grab their cruiser ready rifle, step into a gunfight in a Walmart parking lot, and not shoot somebody at 382 yards with their AR-15 all the way across from one end of the parking lot to the other. I need a dude to be able to find cover and concealment in all the parked cars. This guy's gone to ground, roll under a car, see that guy poking around a tire, and shoot him right in the eyeball at 87 yards. Not here, not up here, and not through here, in his fucking eye socket at 87 yards. And if you don't know where you need to aim your gun, your properly zeroed gun, let's say 50 meter zero, confirmed again at 200, added the additional clicks, true 200 meter, 200 yard, whatever, point of aim, point of impact. And then I have you cant the gun 22.5 degrees right with a 2 3/4 inch riser, height over bore. Where are you holding? Where are you holding? 87 meters. 87 meters, 10.5 inch gun, 2 3/4 inch riser, 77 grain, whatever, 55 grain. Where are you holding? We're going to find out. That's what intermediate rifle is about. It's about holding. Those guns are inherently accurate weapons, and we take them to fucking 7 yards and we shoot them like fucking retards because that's sexy and that's what sells. And that's what gets your ass fucking rich in this industry. Let's go to 7 yards and shoot 1 to 5 in 3 seconds flat. If you're shooting Wolf Gold, it's whatever. If you're shooting quality ammunition, fucking buck, man, my duty 5.56, $150 a bullet. $150 a bullet. And so mag dumping 1 to 5s, it's like a trained monkey can shoot an assault rifle. Can you aim an assault rifle based on external ballistics as you know them? And a lot of the data is going to be unknown. You're not going to know that's 87 yards. You're not going to know it. It's going to be 10 cars down across the aisle next to the shopping cart return. And that range is what that range is. And so intermediate rifle is showing not a class with PowerPoint and fancy math. It is lay at this yard line, do this with your gun, fire this shot group as best as you can. All right, let's go down range, look at your target. If you had put your red dot on that suspect's face, that's how far you would have fucking missed with an MOA-ish rifle. Minute and a half, 2 minutes if you got a junk gun and junk ammo. So it is just an evolution of no-fail pistol. What is everybody else in the industry teaching? Okay, some of them are teaching that really good. What the fuck is nobody else in the industry really getting down in the weeds on? What do students show up at my classes incapable of doing? Okay, let's do that. So that's intermediate, soon to be no-fail rifle. Skill level of students, officers. I don't know, minute of a this at 100. As long as you can group the gun, it's hard for me to show the finer nuances of bullet impact in relationship to aiming if your human error is larger than the offset at that distance. The ballistic offset is lost in the shitty shot group. So, you can shoot 4-minute group at 100 with a rifle and whatever sights you got on it, great. Is an aim point going to hurt you at 300 yards? Depends on the target size. Depends on your eyesight. Depends on a lot of issues. Scoped rifles help you see better. They don't help you shoot better. I proved that when I tested out the aim point, the original aim point micro. I put one on one of my duty guns and it had a 4 MOA dot. I shot it side by side with an EOTech, which had a 1 MOA dot. The aim point shot a tighter group. But that was an artificiality because the SR1 NRA rifle bullseye was cylindrical black in nature. And it just so happened that when I threw the 4 MOA aim point dot up there, I could basically just put an equidistance of sliver of black at 100 yards around. So as long as the eclipse was equidistant, send it. And that was actually easier than having a dot in the middle of the black and trying to visually decide whether it was equidistant because there was more black available. So like I crushed my 1 MOA dot with a 4 MOA dot at 100. And then I repeated that shit at 200. Wheels completely came off. The 4 MOA dot was now bigger than the black. So I had no aiming reference point about where the black was under my damn reticle. The reticle was bigger than the target at just 200. So my EOTech pushed my micros shit in at 200 yards and beyond. But at 100 yards, if I had stopped there, I would have been like, OMG, MOA reticle size is just all about individual preference and whatever. No, it's not. It's about fucking science. How much the target is exposed, how much the target can you not see? So if you have a 4 MOA micro, might not be the perfect sight for you to bring to intermediate rifle. I also wouldn't be showing up with no 3.5 to 18 sniper scope unless your primary gun is an SPR. If you're carrying an SPR, if that is your rifle, bring it. Probably need to have a backup offset RDS because shooting on the move shooting on the move at 20 yards to 15 yards or whatever, and with a 3.5 power scope and a narrow restricted field of view is probably not going to be the funnest thing you've ever done. So Jared gets it. He's collaborated with the Ridgeline guys. The Ridgeline guys bring the sniper aspect of it. I mean, Jared is technically a sniper now, but he's an assaulter at heart. Like, don't let Jared convince you. Jared's a meat-eating knuckle dragger like myself. So, being a good dude, he sought out external training to teach him what he didn't know. He's been putting into practice professionally, and now he's collaborating with the dudes that taught him when he switched over from being a 10-inch gun guy to a 10-inch suppressor guy. And so that 6 to 600 mantra that they use, I embrace all of that, minus the SPR, the designated marksman aspects of that. I don't have any desire to teach people wind calcs. I don't, because in gunfights, when you don't have time to set up for the shot, you just got to take swag. You got to take swag. So it's about practical application, knowing what the environment does to your shit, but not knowing in the actual moment necessarily how much it is doing to your shit. That's the balancing act. Individual weapons, same gun that you kick down doors with, but being able to hold yourself to an accuracy standard at a greater distance. CB asks, you mentioned in the Q&A that you might buy some FN TAC-2 ARs to squirrel away. What is your current recommendation for a factory AR that isn't at Hodge Knight's price point? I was concerned, or I am concerned about boutique AR manufacturers because they are victims to their supply chain. Hodge Defense absolutely falls into that category. BCM, when they were starting out, had to outsource a lot of their stuff, and more of their stuff is being made in-house. Sons of Liberty is kind of like where BCM was in their first 5 years that they were in existence. Not a really well-known brand. Obviously, if you're in the circles of primary and secondary and whatever, then you know who Sons of Liberty is. But I mean, come on, there are a lot of small AR manufacturers, assemblers out there. So it's the ones that are providing a good product at a good price point and are consistent in their production and quality control. Those are the ones that rise to the top. Bravo Company was able to do it. Sons of Liberty is doing it right now. Sons of Liberty is on the rise as a company. And I don't own a single one of their guns in 5.56, but a bunch of my friends do. And the Blackout gun that I had them build for me is a badass little rifle. I don't have it here because my SOT and everything resides over on the East Coast. So I don't have my Blackout pistol here. I think I'm going to probably SBR it. But yeah, so it's sitting at the SOT. I could have brought it back, on the SOT letterhead since I'm on the SOT, but there's no reason to right now. But right now, what I got going on with guns, I'm not going down that rabbit hole quite just yet. So Sons of Liberty, really good LE discount. If you fucking smoke somebody with the rifle and it goes into evidence. Sons of Liberty take care of you. Like they stand by their shit, and they're just good dudes. So yeah, I would say probably the FN TAC-2 and the Sons of Liberty rifles are probably my two favorite mid-grade, not super boutique Noveske Knights Hodge level in terms of price point. So Steve's asking about having the medical professional panel, and did that ever happen? Did that ever happen? No, you did not miss it. Carrie Davis is still down. We just all got kind of busy and started going our own different directions, but it's definitely something that I want to do, is have a lethality physiology, anatomy, how to kill people, narrated by people that try to save people. I think it would be very beneficial. Although, Cliff Notes, oxygen to the brain, communication to the brain to its limbs and organs to tell them to keep doing stuff. You cut off the neurological input or starve the brain out of oxygen. So again, it's not sending the proper neurological input because it has no oxygen to run off of, and that's its fuel, that and sugar. Then either one of them accomplishes the same thing. Brain has to tell body to stop doing things like fucking breathe. So Mark Diaz, have you as an instructor seen a shift in instructors doing less traveling and more regional for their firearms training for civilians and LE? It seems to be instructors besides myself who are reputable seem to be scaling back on how much across the country traveling they are doing. Basically having a home base of operations in a state or region where people travel to them. So it's kind of a circular thing. Nobody wants to live on the road. When the gun sight Thunder Ranch model started, people that were serious about paying for training and the prestige of having attended these places were enough to bring people in. Now, people are still going to places like that, but they're going to places like that to get a certificate and be able to beat their chest and say, I went to gun sight. I went to Thunder Ranch. I went to Rogers School, although Rogers School is kind of different because it is so completely steel oriented and you just can't take that show on the road. It's all pneumatic steel. So, Bill Rogers' place, I want to go to Bill Rogers' place, Mid-South. There are these places that have done that. But the students figured out that in a capitalist society, the customer's always right. So if you want my money, bitch, you better come within 3-hour drive of me. And so the instructors that cracked the code on that and realized, man, if I take my show on the road, I can get every single dollar from every single dude that cannot travel outside of their jurisdiction for work reasons, money reasons, whatever. And I'm going to make a killing. And so the first gen of those traveling instructor road shows totally changed the entire dynamic of the training industry. And that's why there are so many range complexes that are up for sale. Multi-million-dollar range complexes like Blackwater, the Site, the Range Complex, they kind of became a dime a dozen when the Bush defense supplemental dollars were going out and the GWAP money was coming out. $89 billion of additional resources, and that's just on the DoD side. That doesn't talk about state about the intelligence community, DHS money to local LE. It was keeping all of those places afloat, you know. At the height of the war, Blackwater was charging the individual guy $20,000 to get WIPS certified. It's the State Department's responsibility to put your ass through WIPS. Not in that market. It wasn't. So people were paying Blackwater to get a sheet of paper that was the equivalent of a post certification for guys trying to become cops in a jurisdiction, saying, look at me, I'm WIPS qualified, so that they could go jump on the nearest 2-bit subcontractor to the subcontractor, static security, State Department bullshit in Iraq in 2006. And so there was this massive explosion of let's make multi-million-dollar training facilities outside of Army bases or military installations. And then when all of that excess money dried up, all those places went bankrupt because as the market goes, so goes the training community. If our country look at Christmas sales numbers, all of that mirrors our industry. So if consumer sales are up during a Christmas, that means the instructors probably had a good year that year. That means that the mean economy is providing more excess fluid capital for the enthusiasts to be able to go train or buy more ammo or whatever. When the economy constricts and the job numbers aren't as high and the bonuses aren't out there or whatever, there's not that extra income to be buying flat screens or going to a shooting course. So it goes right back to the student can only attend what they can afford. So there are guys that have gotten a large enough following that they know that they can go to one spot and repeaters will come to them to train. I would probably put myself in that group in another 5 or 10 years. There'll be enough people that have gone to press check stuff that if I plant my flag and say, hey man, I'm only going to do 5 courses a year on the road, but I'll do, a course every other month at my home range or closer to my house or whatever. Right now, the issue isn't me not wanting to travel. Right now, the issue is I'm still an unknown in the overarching long term. I've had to cancel 4 or 5 courses this year due to lack of enrollment, like 4 people, 3 people. And even Mike Pannone says that this training gig is regional in terms of your popularity. He's like, bro, there are places that when I book, they'll be sold out in 3 hours. There are other areas of the country where I can have the class posted for over 6 months and nobody will sign up. Let's take Southern Florida, good example. Aaron Cowan kills it. Mocha Bear, obviously, his backyard, right? Jared goes down there. Bob Keller from Gamut Solutions, Don Edwards, everybody that goes down to South Florida, Jedi, crush it. I had a no fail, less than 5 people signed up. I had a night fighter, 3 people signed up, and 2 separate hosts. So being advertised by separate means, separate ways. And so, that Homestead, Miami, South, it's a mafia. All those dudes that train together, they all hang out. And if they want to go, oh man, did you see about whatever? They spread the word virally. And if I'm setting up my training calendar and I don't realize that I set up something in, 50 miles away from where Reston or Cowan set up something that same weekend, ain't nobody going to go to my class, not from down there, because those guys are known entities. And So I'm still trying to break into this market, but I am unwilling to accelerate my exposure by conducting myself in an unethical manner. That means hitching my saddle to douchebags, hanging out with unsavory people, accepting sponsorship from companies that sponsor really big time douchebags. Like, all I have is my name and my reputation, and I've done enough to sow that already. And so I'm not going to hang out with cocksuckers just to get their Instagram likes. Like that shit's just not going to happen. And if you guys ever see me hanging out with a douchebag, it's because I don't know that dude's a douchebag, and you need to hit me up offline and give me all the skinny, like quantifiable, not internet rumor. Like, if you know that a dude is illegal, unethical, immoral, and you have proof, screwed over people in business dealings, did whatever, you need to let me know, because some people are very, very good at putting up a facade. And I'm a pretty generally trusting person. So if my initial feelers about, hey man, should I do some work with this guy or whatever, if that doesn't come back with a red flag, until that dude fucks me over, we're going to go forward with it. Okay, pretty cool. All right, let's do some mutually beneficial whatever. So kind of rambling here a little bit, but the back to the matter is that the industry will handle what the industry can handle. And if an instructor is popular enough that they want to throttle back their road time, and they're still bringing in the income they want, then they're going to throttle back their road time. DeFore has very, very few classes in a year because he has other commitments outside of open enrollment training. I am also trying to kind of go down that business model. I would like to only be doing 8, 10, 12 open enrollment press check classes in a year, because I'm bringing in money Monday through Fridays, working for clients that you guys don't need to know about, and I'm not going to brag about on the internet. That is the direction that my business development has been going. If I smash a class, 16 to 18 paying students, after travel expenses and ammo and range fees and whatever, then I'm going to end up with probably a $3,000 a day payout, maybe. So that's not bad for a weekend. $3,000 for a day rate beats my consulting day rate. But that means that class has got to be full. And what a lot of these guys are doing, that you see them, that they have classes every single weekend. Some of them are filling their classes. Some of them are filling their classes with friends and repeaters and posting their pictures on social media. But of that crowd of people that you see around them, oh, look at me, my class is full, I'm so popular, whatever. How many of those dudes paid him a check to be standing there? And how many of them are bro dudes that they paid an entrance fee 2 classes ago, and now he just lets my man hang out, and man, I'll pay stub targets for you, whatever. Just let me come hang out, to make those classes look artificially large. There are dudes that are crushing it. There are dudes that are absolutely crushing it, and then there are dudes that are grinding. There are dudes that are straight up grinding. And if you ask any instructor out there, would they rather do 24 classes at 10 students each or 12 classes at 20 students each? They're a lying MFer if they don't tell you that they want a 20-man class, because they have none of the travel expenses of the other 12 classes that they kicked off. And they get, so it's all straight profit. If you roll the 10 bodies from this class over into this class, you're paying the fixed costs up front for that class. Business expenses. So, yeah, right. Right there, miles qualification dollars. I've spent over $15,000 on Delta Airlines tickets in this year, and I've spent $109,000 on my business credit card since 1st of January. Travel's fucking expensive. Targets are expensive. Bullets are expensive. Rental cars are expensive. Hotel rooms are expensive. And if you're out every weekend and you're doing classes of 8 to 12 dudes, you are working for $1,000 a day. You're not working for $3,000 a day. And then you take the travel days on both ends of that, you're working for $500 a day. And so that's the reality of this industry. If you can't fill classes, you either need to do fewer classes. If your repeaters are willing to travel, you need to do fewer classes in different areas and try to encourage your students to travel in order to train with you, or you just have to accept less money. So that is the good, the bad, and the ugly of being a cool industry trainer guy that most people probably won't tell you. A lot of them like to talk up this kind of lifestyle, and it's a grind. It's a grind. Last week I was on my feet, like did not even have a chair, on my feet for over 12 hours a day, standing. Only time I got to sit down was when we walked up to the line, and if guys were taping targets or whatever, I could sit down on the railroad ties that were protecting the target stands. Other than that, I was on my feet high, got up to about 26 or 28 degrees, the high. It's so cold that my amp headset with brand new lithium batteries in it ceased operating. My Princeton Tech MPL with lithium batteries in it ceased operating. My Surefire Vampire with brand new lithium CR123 in it ceased operating. Like, hey man, turn on. Threw my fucking brain bucket in the truck on the way back to the hotel. All my shit powered back up. Fucking cold, Sarge. Cold. I'm almost 50. My back, my body, standing around for 12 hours a day. Yeah. Fuck yes, I want to get paid $3,000 to be that fucking miserable. Because I used to have to stand out there for fucking pennies on the dollar for about a quarter century of my life. And I'm over that shit. So, Chris, 44. Went to a basic SWAT course where the instructors advocated fighting from outside of the room using threshold evaluations for warrant services. All I would tell you about fighting from threshold is that you're playing hide and go seek with one arm tied behind your back. Talked about this just a couple of modcasts ago. You have one party, two parties in the gunfight. Suspect or suspects, good guys. Separated by 2x4 studs and sheetrock. One of those two parties has no qualms about firing through that wall. One of those two parties, by policy, cannot fire through that wall. If you all run into that room, everybody can see everybody. If you don't, all run into that room. One person is seeing a portion of that room. So if you have a 20-man stack, one, maybe two people, their eyes and guns, can apply deadly force within policy. Everybody else, spectator or victim. So Navy SEALs, Tomahawk, whomever. And I don't teach outside of the threshold stuff because it's so passionate with domestic cops. I don't teach it. Like, I'm not going to, there's hills I will die on and swords I will fall on. You want to fucking and go, whatever. What the fuck ever. I don't care. But once you commit to that threshold, your ass is mine. Because there is a right way and a wrong way to dominate a room. And that's the sword I will fall on. So next time you go to in-service, whatever, get yourself some like rolls of fabric, Target cloth, and some fucking staples and 2x4s and however you have to do it, and fabricate the walls and the doorway of a structure. And then put OPFOR in that room and instruct them as soon as they detect that someone is on the outside of that wall, they are free to do whatever the fuck they want. And if you have a team leader or someone on your team that has a hard-on for threshold clearing, I want them to stand third or fourth man in the stack and start receiving UTMs to the side of the fucking face and not be able to run anywhere. Just have to stand there and get fucking shot. Bah, 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 and you can't even see the person that's fucking firing at you. And that's every domestic wall in America. The end. Matt Fisher, what distance do you zero your pistol-mounted RDS? 25. More importantly, can you explain the reasoning behind it? Yeah, because that's the distance that I'm fucking grading myself on accuracy, 25. If I zero my gun at 10 and then I go back to 25, I will have to put some clicks on it. And if I aim my little red dot at the center of my bullseye at 25 and I end up grouping rounds low and throw points into the 9 ring because I was applying a 10-yard zero at 25 yards. Big reason why 100-yard zero, rifle zero, stuck around for as long as it did in some of my old circles, because you were going to get fired based upon rifle qual scores that included NRASR1 bulls at 100. So, yeah, you can have a 200-yard zero because it's a flatter zero all you want to. You better be able to shoot hold off. And all of a sudden, when you start trying to shoot for points, shooting hold off just doesn't sound as cool. Because dudes will ultimately drop a point here, drop a point there, and they'll realize, fuck, man, I can't hold in the top 1/3 of a fucking bull as easy as I can hold in the middle of the bull. So they end up having their guns zeroed for the qual, not zeroed for real life. And it took me many years before I finally came to grips with the fact that, you know what? Fuck it. I know I can shoot good enough not to get fired. Shoot holds good enough to score high enough to not get fucking fired. I'm going 5,200. Mike Voigt did the math. He explained it. He showed it. I bought into it. So 100-yard zero went away forever. 10-yard zero, which is the other predominant zero distance that is taught. Okay. The deal with shock groups are that they deal in angular deviation. If you are this far apart at this distance, you're going to be this far apart at whatever other distance. So it's the reason why I will not shoot handgun inside of 10 yards unless it is for speed. Like dot torture, fucking whatever, because you are literally inside of the size of the diameter of your bullet. And so when you start shooting a 1-inch paster at 3 or 5 yards, but you're like a 95 and above B8 guy, you end up putting a bullet through the paster, and then you put another bullet through that bullet and another bullet through that bullet, but they're not all going in the same place. You start etching or boring out the edges of it, because shot 2 and shot 3, you were fucked up. You were fucked up like 9-ring fucked up on a B8. But at 3 yards, the amount of fucked up that you are is so minute that it's not even detectable to the human eye. And so over the course of a magazine, your 9 millimeters of diameter turns into something that looks like a 50 cal hole. Or maybe it's a little bit smaller than a 50 cal, side of a 45. So there were 14 marksmanship diagnostic touch points after your first shot that are lost in a single ragged bullet hole because you threw the hot dog down the fucking hallway. If you take that same shot group, you go back to 25 yards, it disperses enough that you can actually have a check on learning of your follow through and your ability to call your shot. Every round is accounted for. When you fire 15 rounds into a 1-inch by 1-inch pasty at 3 yards, it gives you an illusion of marksmanship feedback. I mean, obviously, if you shank the motherfucker at 3 yards, 3 inches off the damn thing, you're one of them dudes that shoots out in the 5 ring on a B8. So as soon as you crack 90 and above on a B8, your days of shooting 3 yards again ever are gone. Gone. As soon as you can crack about 95 on a B8, your days of shooting at 7 and 5 are gone. You should never attempt anything marksmanship related inside of 10 yards for the rest of your fucking life, because all you're going to be doing is keyholing rounds, stacking rounds, and actually losing diagnostic feedback. So if you're zeroing at 10 yards and you're stacking rounds, there is potential minor shift, deviation. There's clicks. There are clicks in that ragged hole that you will not see until you go further back. Now, I don't fucking zero my lasers at 200 yards. You better believe I group my lasers at 200 yards, though. And every time I switch yard lines, some more clicks magically fall out of that bitch. Oh, look, this motherfucker needs some more clicks. Click, 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 click. And I could have the perfect offset zero target. But what's the fucking beam width at 25 yards? What am I stabilizing the gun with? How much human error have I added into the process? So I zero at 25 yards because I am capable of groups at 10 yards that mask mechanical inaccuracy of point of aim, point of impact of the gun, the optic, the ammo, and the shooter. So I must go back further to expose those flaws and then throw in them clicks. That's why I zero at 25. If you can't keep them all in the black at 25, yeah, fuck yeah. Go up to 10. Go up to 10 and shoot. But there's the right way to do shit, and there is the expeditious way, the most expeditious way to do shit. And if I was with a full class of 20 students and at least 25% of them are fucking booger-eating morons from the fucking internet, I'm probably going to want to choose a zeroing procedure that is expeditious. I do it in Night Fighter. I talk about the proper way to zero, and then I talk about the way we're going to zero. And I call success hit and steal at 100. Because in a regular night fighter class, I normally don't have the range and distance wise and the time and the physical ailments of the students, guys showing up, out of shape, heavy smokers, whatever. As soon as you've got this course doing 1 to 5 burn downs and pistol transitions under nods, and you have me walking you from 300 fucking yards back up there to put 5 pieces of tape on a piece of paper to walk 300 yards back to fire another group, and it's the 5th time you've done that night, all of a sudden my class doesn't look very fun. So I compromise my personal standards, because my job isn't to fucking make you guys. My job isn't to give you guys the most perfect, beautiful swordfish. My job is to teach you guys how to fish. So if you understand the concepts, even if you are incapable of doing all of the concepts when you leave the course, then you can go get better. Other people are paying money to go somewhere because they're going to get a tangible result. I came to this course, I couldn't do this. I left, I can fucking do this. Under those conditions, yes, factually accurate. So that is why I will struggle in the training realm, because some of my colleagues are compromising what is the most effective way to do something for the most expeditious way to tailor to their students. My courses are the class you need. They're not the class you want. You can go to a lot of other places and do some fun ass ninja shit and fucking high five motherfucking Insta and have your fucking anime fucking patches on your black multicam fucking AR 500 carrier, whatever the fuck. But you want to learn how to fucking kill people with firearms on demand, and I know a thing or two about that. And the metrics that you're using to judge that. So 0 at a distance that will matter to you. And with the 9mm cartridge, 40 very flat shooters. So a 25-yard 0 will get you pretty consistent results out past that. I hit a head plate at 160 something yards with my 40 and an aim point micro, and the dot was not off the plate yet. I was lollipopping top of the plate with that dot at 165 yards. With fucking 45 ACP, bro, you'd be holding like 2 feet over that 6-inch piece of steel to try to get some of that walk back love. So, if you need to get on paper up close, do it. If you can group a fucking gun, back up. Firearms rack. What skill building exercises have helped you most in your journey to proficiency? Or have you messed around in a world of building clones of firearms, or just function rule the press check safe? Well, I already covered the clone stuff at the beginning. There's some stuff that has very personal attachment to me. I've got some firearms that were either formerly in my circles, the actual guns, or I have replicas of those guns. I have replicas of all of my duty pistols, and I have duty firearms that belong to my friends that they didn't want to buy, and then I've made clones of all the other stuff that was just unavailable, non-NFA stuff. So I don't have a saw or a Mark 46 or an HK 21 or a 240 Bravo or like an Ultimax, or like just insert the belt fed machine gun that I've crossed paths with. Life goals. Life goals. What skill building exercises have helped me the most in my journey to proficiency? Dry fire gun handling, live fire marksmanship, and then doing drills and bringing the two disciplines together. Figuring out what you can get away with, what you can't get away with, and then trying to execute sooner through efficiency. I am still convinced that the vast majority of people that carry guns are not self-aware enough to exhibit throttle control. Jedi and I were talking about this the other day. Going to a class with a competitor, or learning, being mentored, whatever. They are going to give you this precious gift, these secrets, and it is going to result, if you do what they say, you listen, you practice, whatever, you are going to have this huge raw capability. So I equate your ability to shoot and run the gun and even make shots, like when you want to. I equate that to a rich kid in high school that turns 16. And their dad walks out in the driveway and hands him the key to a Lamborghini Diablo or a Ducati or a Ferrari. They're 16 years old. They got their license last week. That is most of our shooting community once you give them a little bit of raw talent. That 16-year-old has raw, unbridled power at his discretion. He does not have the judgment to see when that raw, unbridled power is going to get out of control. And that's why his insurance is so expensive. And that's why when he wraps around a tree, his dad gets all pissed off. And I look at the situation like, how, knowing what you know about 16-year-olds, how did you think that this was going to work out? How did you think that any other outcome was going to happen? Teach somebody to shoot fast, motherfucker shoots at you. What are they going to do? They're going to shoot fast. Somebody just shot at me. So it takes experience. It takes wisdom. It takes cognitive, visual function, feeling what's going on with the car, seeing what's going on in terms of reaction time. But all of that plugged into a brain that has experience behind the wheel. That is how you make a race car driver. And so your building blocks of true marksmanship precision capability, they have to be foundational. They have to be foundational. It cannot be a block that is checked and then you move on to advanced skills. And that is what all of us do. Because let's be honest, most of the people listening to the sound of my voice right now are never going to have the resources to put into being as proficient as I was when I was on my A game. You're never going to have the time or the money or the bullets or the range or whatever. You're never going to have it. So there is an argument to be made, and I have this one with Bill about doing something to perfection. And he comes back over the top at me with, this is how many hours of in-service I have. So if I don't let motherfuckers go to step 2 until they're done with step 1, until they've mastered step 1, they are not ever going to even had a familiarity with step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6. So if you only have X amount of hours in a training day, and I get stuck on stupid, and I fucking stick to my principles, and it's like, nope, we are not doing anything cool until we do the basics. Awesome. Well, if you got dudes on your team that are fucking booger eating morons, congratulations. Y'all, you're going to shoot carbine and pistol every day. And when the call out comes, nobody's going to know what the team SOP for CQB is because you've never even let them step in a house because you burned every second of every training hour on the basics. So I'm a pragmatic guy, gentlemen. You got to learn how to draw. You got to learn how to do target-to-target transitions. You got to learn how to do magazine changes more efficiently. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go talk to, train with, and get info from human efficiency experts. I'm saying you must do that. But you better have your foundation of what it takes to make a shot on demand. You better have that at the foundational level, because at the end of the day, it is what you fall back on. So all of my skills, drills, all of that in my career, and I like shooting other people's shit like that. I like doing a lot of drills, like simulated evaluations. Hey man, let's shoot the 1 to 5. The fuck is a 1 to 5? Oh yeah, you'll really, really like it. Hey, give me your magazines. What? Yeah, give me your mags. There's John Knight loading up the 1 to 5 drill, except for he's putting the bullet numbers in random order. So now I have to go 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, click, 3, 4, 5. And so to me, that is where the rubber meets the road, is when somebody walks up and says, shoot this. What's the loadout? Shoot it. Let's do this. Let's do that. Like, I like that trick fuckery aspect of it, but only as a diagnostic tool. As soon as you start doing a drill, oh, so that's the 1 to 5. All right. Bam, case of ammo. I'm not leaving this bitch till I can get to sub 4 seconds. That's just fucking retarded. When are you ever going to shoot a 1 to 5 in combat? You are now training for the test. You're not training on the things that are going to make you more efficient at the 1 to 5. You're just repeating 1 to 5 over and over again, over and over again, over and over again, over and over again, until you can smoke it. A waste of fucking time, man. So that's my thoughts on training and drills. You better diagnose yourself, and you better be honest about your diagnosis of yourself. And then you better go back and figure out what individual micro drills you can do to work on the sub aspects of your inefficiency. Attack them violently and then knock down those walls. So you guys, if you've heard Jedi or some of these other guys talk, Blowers, we all are more on the same sheet of music than we're actually apart in our philosophies about how to shoot. Jedi says you got to break your shit down into the most micro skills and drills. And I agree with him. If you just do El Prez over and over and over and over again, and all your time was wasted on turning the fuck around, every round you shot after you turned and fired the first one, you were pissing ammo away because you're fucked up on your ability to hear the buzzer, react to the buzzer, look, ID the target, turn in the turning box without defaulting, and find where the fucking blaster is and get your hand on it while you're doing a fucking pinwheel. That's what's wrong with you. But you went ahead and shot 11 more bullets after that. And then you did it again and again and again and again and again. And you're wondering why your time isn't getting radically better because you're doing the same fucking shit. And you ain't even figured out where did all the time on this damn clock come from. If you had broken down them splits, you'd know it took you 4.5 seconds to turn around and get your gun out of the holster. So, okay, guys, I think that covers our $5 alibis. We are at hour and 39 minutes. I'm going to look through the live chat. I've specifically been ignoring it because This was not official live Q&A. This was makeup live Q&A. But since I love y'all, and we got 20 minutes until it's an even 2-hour session, I'll see what you guys got for me. Ben Lewis has alternating opinion about the Brownells lowers. Said, yes, they are made off the correct forging, but the machining is not true to spec, and it is noticeable. I had heard some stuff about, I had heard some rumors about that or whatever, but I talked to the dudes over at Brownells when I was at Iowa No Fail. And I don't really give a shit because you know what? My shit's on an LMT lower. And I brought my 416 upper to combat for the first time on an LMT lower. My 416 lower was stuck in customs bonded warehouse. So my LMT lower with HK upper is clone correct as fuck for me and about 15 other dudes. Firearms Rack says that the aim point plate is OEM'd out to B&T, the one that ships with the P1 pistol optic, and 400 to 600 rounds. It'll rattle loose enough that you can get 8 to 10 inches of lateral shift. Joe K says MOS Gen 534 failed just inside of 2,500 rounds. The optic actually fell off. The screw holding plate to the slide, the screw holding the plate to the slide loosened. The entire thing lost 0. 4-inch right shift at 20 yards. Okay. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that Gen 5 Glock 34 non-MOS gun is released at SHOT this year. Not that I need any more damn Glocks, but I really like the Gen 5. Like for a buy it and forget it gun. I mean, not that sending it off to Doug at ATI is forgetting it, but not having to buy a match barrel, not having to worry too much about a trigger job. I mean, you can get a trigger that is nicer, but the Gen 5 is just an absolute pleasure to shoot right out of the box. Like it is 90% of the way there, minus, needing a dot on it. More back and forth about plates. Elephant Rider asked Joe K about aftermarket plates for the MOS. So C&H or C&M or seeing somebody, y'all put it up in there. That like all my internet researching says that is the best RMR plate for the MOS guns. Problem is they did not have an acro plate out. As of the last time I checked, it was en route, still working on it. But yeah, you talk to like some cops that are only allowed like duty MOS guns or whatever, no milling authorized or whatever. You'll see a lot of LE guys telling other LE guys to go with this aftermarket plate company for the MLS. Yes, Kyle, I saw that you were signed up for Night Fighter. Looking forward to seeing you. Sorry your fucking gun doesn't like Teflon coated fucking lipstick polymer, whatever the fuck you were feeding in that gun on the internet. And I'm also glad that it shoots 147s lights out. Yeah, you guys are arguing over to whom am I referring to about booger eating moron. Yeah, it's one of those things I hate about passive aggressive Facebook posts is they make everybody paranoid or whatever. But Kerry Davis from Dark Angel, a good buddy of mine, and he made some obscure post on the internet one day. He's like, "Hey, when I say some shit on the internet, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm talking about you. But if the shoe fits, by all means, lace that bitch up and wear it." I thought that was pretty funny. I mean, I hate passive aggressive people, but that's the brilliance of being passive aggressive is you can throw out this wide net, and if motherfuckers get all paranoid and think that you're shit talking them or whatever, if they're that non-confident or whatever, then you just caught an extra fish. Not even the dude that you were being non-confrontational about. I mean, it's a bitch move, but it's still funny. I don't like passive aggressive as much, but Tom, it is good to see you on here, buddy. Oh, I love multicam black. It's legit. I love it. Unfortunately, it's been appropriated by the Grams, so I can't wrap my Forerunner in multicam black. Fucking, it would dictate my personal code of ethics and honor dictates that I cannot do that because it was absconded with. Like, I hate almost everything about dude bro, vet bro shit because it's like, wait a minute, you can't fucking talk shit about me wearing khaki cry combat pants and a fucking beard. This entire generation of people that fucking dress like that were trying to dress like me. Like, I actually earned it. That's why I can walk around with some cries on and have somebody go, "Hey, what's up, Tactical?" Be like, "Are you fucking serious right now? Like, do you know where these pants have fucking been?" So it's pretty funny. And I have to quit being butthurt about people that make fun of people that dress like me, because I know they're not talking about me. They're talking about the people that are trying to dress like me. But again, that's more that passive aggressive wide blanket on the internet. They are shit talking the mimics, not the originators. Hey, I don't really hate on people that that want to be into anime. I mean, come on, I'm a level 155 on Call of Duty. We can probably say that we all have our vices, and it's good. And you know what? Asian airsofters and gun culture people have better kit than fucking neckbeard rednecks anyway. So got to take them stereotypes and run with them shits. Yeah, we are talking about re-anodizing and re-engraving on the lower. I think I'm going to get a stripped lower, and then Hajaruni is going to get out the calipers and do some material work to the lower, and then get it done. He already knows the fonts, depths, colors, paint color, like all that crap. So, all right. Any interest on saving money on targets and space when shipping stuff? Well, yeah, I'm always looking at saving money, but I normally ship targets directly from American Target Company out to out to the host direct, unless I'm going someplace like Mead Hall, which has a fully stocked target shed, which is the targets are inclusive to the overall range cost. So I don't have to fly with targets. I did not ship ammo this week, though, so my ass will be overweight anyway because I got to bring rifle and pistol ammo because I did not call up SGA ammo or Target USA shooting or whatever cheap ass inexpensive ammo company I'm buying ammo off of this week. Which Call of Duty? The new one? Yeah. I finished Breakpoint and got into Call of Duty about a week after it dropped. And went through the campaign, and I had some time on my hands on the East Coast, so I was kind of stuck in my bachelor pad, and my internet creeped up just high enough that I could get my multiplayer on, and so I played about 8 hours a day for 5 days or something like that. And packed up and came back. I had time on my hands. I was there to spend time with my son. He was at school, so I had nothing going on during the day. So I just fucking decided to get on the grind. I like the endorphin dump of unlocking challenges and things like that. Like when you look into the human psychology, drugs, food, gambling, all of these things that people are addicts to, it all goes back to the chemical reaction when you taste this, when you buy this, like all of you motherfuckers that get your credit card out and buy some shit online. And you're like, oh yeah. It's not even about the item. Yes, most of the time we buy good shit, but it's the experience of buying and the anticipation of getting and then the unwrapping and go all the way back to our childhood. Or if you're a parent, your adulthood. You buy the shiny new toy, the kids like the shiny new toy, the kids lose the shiny new toy, and the kids want another shiny new toy because it's about that endorphin, adrenal, pituitary system, glands and shit. And so, I am trying to get X amount of what the fuck am I doing? Calling in some care packages or something like this. These challenges are so stupid. And it's like, oh, kill somebody with a shotgun from the top of a water tower, with headshots only. I don't even use whatever, but I'll go do it just so that I can unlock that achievement. And when I see that achievement unlocked or whatever, it gives me a physical reaction when you do silly shit like that. So that is my mindless entertainment, strictly for my own edification and enjoyment. Some guys like wrenching on cars, the concept of, breaking a motor down or rebuilding a motor or painting something or whatever. It's all giving them the same sense of accomplishment and satisfaction. Mine is just very easy. Turn it on, play, achievement unlocked, shut the shit off. So oh, you're working on something with American Target Company? Good. That would be good. I would like to see the shipping on IPSIX go down, because them bitches are 55 cents a piece plus 35 cents shipping per target. So that's significant when my $55 box of 100 USPSAs turns into an $85 box after shipping. So, yeah, Bill's OCD on his target shed is quite nice. I think the classroom is going to be really great. This weekend, I think there's going to be some guys hiding out in the shitter. Like, I think I'm going to have to send a runner into the heated bathroom. And, hey, break time's over, guys. Come on, let's get back on the line. Chuck's waiting on us. Motherfuckers are going to be in the heated bathroom like, oh, man, it's cold out there. Man, it's cold out there. It's like, hey, dude, Pratt just dropped a deuce, right? Like, y'all are all letting Pratt feces get permeate all up in your outer gear because y'all afraid of the cold. So bring some hand warmers and don't smell dookie in the warm. That's my advice to y'all for this weekend's class. No, Flippy, we're not going to start with 3 mags of 10 we're not going to start with 3 mags of 10 for first loadout. I think we are going to do some 10-shot groups, but we're also going to do some 5-shot groups or whatever. AR mags are easier to load than pistol mags. So I'm more concerned about, when I do a night fighter, I'm more concerned about guys overloading. So they have to download in order to be able to do whatever. But for zeroing grouping exercises, if you can account for all your rounds, it doesn't really matter. The more rounds you shoot up to a point of fatigue, either eye fatigue, neck strain, whatever, the more that you can disassociate flyers. You do it big army style and triangulate the group. Oh, yeah, I'm going to come 5 left and 5 up because this is center mass of my group. Bullshit. You shanked the fuck out of that. This is center mass of your group, and now you got all this extra bullshit because you triangulated off of a flyer. So when grouping, I tell the students to shoot a minimum of 5 shots. And then if you have a cluster and a fucking outlier, you don't even, you completely discount the outlier. Completely discount it. Now, if you're executing proper follow through and your gun is mechanically throwing flyers, my SR-25 used to do that shit all the time. Stack them, stack them, stack them, stack them, 1.5 inches, fucking high right at 100. What the fuck? So if the gun is shooting inconsistently, that's one thing. But so yeah, minimum 5-shot strings. If we're doing something like 200-yard daytime zero, like that zero confirmation line, when we go to that line, it'll be a 10-shot string. When we shoot at 150, might only be 5-shot string. So it will vary. All right, guys, we are at 2 hours. Is my Shadow 2 still waiting to be fixed? Yeah, I got to call CZ Customs and get a new slide. Send that slide back and have them refit that Shadow Bull barrel in a new CZ slide. What are you gonna do? But I still got. I'm less than 10,000 rounds through my Night Fighter. I got 2020 gun coming. I still got to do Gen 5 34 versus comp Gen 5 rolling. I haven't bought my KKM barrel yet. Tap Rack. Hey, KKM got the contoured fucking compensators ready on their website. Are they for sale now? You know me and KKM ain't all that tight. I've been waiting for the Gen 5 comp. Joe, IP6 do not negate my need for a full size B8. It's not just about identifying the round. It's about metrics for controlling accuracy. I don't know if you remember when I mentioned that in No Fail Pistol. To me, Bill likes to make fun of, like, hey, everything out of the 8 is a fucking 0. I made the analogy to having dumbbells in the gym or smaller plates. They allow you to show incremental gains. If you go to the hotel and they've got 25-pound dumbbell, which is kind of easy for you doing curls, and then the shit jumps to 50, and you're over here doing assisted to be able to even lift that shit, it's too big of a jump. And I think getting 8 out of 10 points to nothing is too big of a jump when the gym Nazis record all of their data. The speedsters record all of their splits. The precision guys need metrics. If you got a 60, but you got a 60 because 3 of those bullets were in what would have been the 7 ring, that is a much better shooting experience than a dude that got a 60 and he fired 6 shots in the 5 ring. This dude threw 3 shots and then all the rest of them aggregated up for the other 10 points that he dropped. This cat threw 6 shots further away from the X. When you look at the targets at total shot spread, this motherfucker shot better than this motherfucker. But in your shooting data book, if you're shooting off a McDowell's Blowers target, everything outside of that 8 was worth nothing. It's worth nothing, nada, 0. So I think that when you shank bullets, and that was a bad shot, you did not execute throttle control or whatever, there's absolutely a time to reinforce no fail type of shit. But not when you're still trying to lock in the fundamentals. It's too big of a jump. I want a dude that flinches the fuck out of that gun and throws him into the 5. And then I want that guy to come back to the range and draw after some dry fire and some other coping mechanism stuff. And then I want him to only be shanking in that 6 ring. And then I want him only to be shanking into the 7 ring and slowly tracking, like 10 round slow fire, 1X, 210, 3.9, 1.8, 1.7, 2.6. And so the full size B8 just gives the dude more damn feedback, gives him more feedback. I think 8 out of 10 to 0 out of 10 is a big jump for a guy that's struggling to get into the black. So full-size B8s have a purpose. Do I shoot on a full-size B8? Fuck no. Waste of paper. Just like Blauer says. Look, waste of paper. Look at all the trees you're killing, Chuck. But my students need some feedback and help and stuff. Now, on some of the no-fail classes, I do like to shoot USPSA targets. If there's not steel out there, I can do wide transition, multiple targets on B8 centers on the target backer. But I like to sometimes put out the USPSA targets, and then I'll put USPSA targets with B8s over them. So the guys that are locked into like their gaming, like that's what they shoot at is cardboard a lot or whatever. When I have them start to visually aim small, miss small, at the end of the day, we can pull the stack of B8 centers off, and it would show them this fucking kick-ass shot group in the top of the alpha. So now it visually puts into their mind what all of this effort has been doing when they have come to the course being shown that this alpha what right looks like. And it's part of helping them recalibrate their brain and learn their threshold for performance and throttle control. And so I need the USPSA target to tie the gamer back into the visual shit that he was doing during the game, but then make him cognitively look and focus on some different shit so that he can park that gun and break a shot clean when he wants to, not when his rhythm dictates that he should. Elephant Rider says KKM comp is still not on the online KKM deal, but Firearms Rack says they're for sale. That doesn't surprise me either. All right, so I need to call them bitches up, be like, it's rolling. Send me a compensator and a bill for fucking $320. Thanks. Yeah. An IPSC that has actual scoring rings on it. That's cool. I'd have to take a look at it. Targets are one of those things that, as much as I harp on it within the context of no fail, when it comes to just practicing, I'll shoot at anything. I can adjust the scoreable area, and if I can't adjust the scoreable area, I'll just adjust the distance. Like if you gave me an IPSC and said, or USPSA and said, this is what the boys are going to shoot at. That's all you got. Okay. Fucking make a square, bisect the alpha right through the perf, make it into a nice little square box, and then have the whole class shoot that shit from 15 yards or further away. Still the same level of conscious decision if you don't want to miss that fucking square as shooting at a circle of a B8. It's the same thing. It just doesn't have the finer feedbacks of the scoreable metric on it. All right, guys, I'm out. Stop asking me questions. Y'all got an extra 8 minutes of fucking whatever, and we're going to go for fucking, we're going for 4, 5, 6 hours tomorrow anyway. So I'm going to get my fucking Xbox on because you motherfuckers are going to ruin my afternoon tomorrow. I know you know this. No, but I enjoyed the time. Obviously, that's why I kind of went off the direct answer to the question into some parallels on this deal tonight, because I just hadn't talked to y'all in fucking 3-4 weeks, something like that. I really, 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 really want to try. Maybe I need to start putting the shit on the calendar. When the 2020 press check calendar comes out, I might try to schedule look at the calendar like a month out and be like, all right, this is going to be my first, somewhere between the 1st and the 15th Q&A. This is going to be my somewhere between the 15th and the 30th Q&A and try to get it to two Q&As a month. And that way I'll be able to give you guys some of you. I mean, you guys see it. Some of these answers, it needs to be a 20-minute answer. Some of these answers, I could probably give you a 6 or 7 minute answer, but I give you a 45-second answer because I had to give a fucking 20-minute answer. So I want to be able to go as far down as into the rabbit hole as I need to, so that you, the patron supporter, feel like you got your question answered. But the community is growing, so I just need to figure out the time management piece of that. So let's speak about tomorrow. Evil Tribble, thank you for reminding me. I ain't posted the time for tomorrow yet. Y'all decided to show up tonight. So I do want to see my wife, and she doesn't really like coming in the middle of Q&A. I probably can probably guarantee that she's not going to step foot in the door before 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 o'clock at night. Tomorrow. So if we back that off 6 hours, that puts Q&A starting at 4 p.m. East Coast, 1 p.m. West Coast. I got to go a little bit later than that. 'Cause I've got an appointment tomorrow that isn't going to get over till 1. How does 5 p.m. Eastern sound? Vote on it. 5 p.m., 4:30 p.m., 6:30 p.m. Eastern. What do you guys got for me? I know I told you to stop typing. Type. Works. See, Tom Morgan's like, works for me. See, all right, Tom gets to have it his way. Fucking, yep. Get a little bit of that fucking, get a little bit of that Jedi action in your life. Fucking first or your last, motherfuckers. Tom Morgan, first out of the holster. Okay. 5 p.m. Eastern. I will log off with y'all and update or put another thread on there. Update the thread I fucking got. Whatever. I'll put a post out. Let all the pores that were unable to be with us tonight, let them know. 5 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. I'll see you guys there. Have some damn good questions, and we'll get through it. All right, guys. I'm out.